Hello and welcome to the Owatonna Today Show. I'm Shelley Whitehead. Thank you so much for joining us right here on Charter Channel 8, where you can see us 6 days a week. The great thing is, though, we are all hooked up to the internet. So for some reason you can't see us on Charter, you can always find us on the interwebs. We are on YouTube as well as on Facebook. And when you like us on Facebook, Leanne does upload the most recent episode. Also, if you go to OwatonnaTodayShow.com, Leanne does have a whole archive of past shows. So if there's something you wanted to see that you missed, don't worry about it. You can catch up to it right there. We do appreciate you watching us here, and we want to thank you and ask you for ideas as well. So if you've got something coming up in your life that you'd like to share with us, all you got to do is send us an email, owatonnatoday@charter.net. You can also call our producer, Leanne, at 390-5751. Let us know what's going on in your life, in your community, in your organization, and we'll see if we can get you on the air, because we'd like to share that information. So stick with us. Today's a great show. We're talking about the political candidates for District 24A, that seat, that contestant that's coming up. So make sure you sit around, come join us, because we're going to be talking to them about some of the things they like, some of the things that they are talking about, some of their beliefs, that kind of stuff. And that way you can know who to vote for. So we'll see you in just a minute.
I'm Dan Branstead of Carlson Branstead and Company, Certified Public Accountants. We support the Owatonna Today Show.
Owatonna Public Utilities, real people, real reliable, real progress. Making life a little easier day after day, taking pride in our community, listening to what you say, a voice you can talk to. We're growing with you. Owatonna Public Utilities.
Greetings, I'm Laura Ressler, Director of the Steele County Historical Society, and I welcome you to our History Center. We invite you to join in all our activities, events, where we honor the past and look towards the future.
Hi, I'm Stan Groff, Director of Steele County Public Health and a member of the United Way Community Leadership Team. United Way focuses on the building blocks of life: education, income, and health. Our programs and initiatives prepare children from birth for academic success, well-paying jobs, and a healthy lifestyle. That's why I joined Mayo Clinic Health System and the Owatonna School District to lead this year's campaign. We invite you to invest in our community by giving to the United Way.
And we're back with the Owatonna Today Show. We have in studio with us Bev Cashman. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm excellent, thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us here today. You are running for, as we said, District 24A, the Minnesota House of Representatives.
Yes.
You're running for that seat. But first we need to find out a little bit about you. So tell us more about who Bev Cashman is.
Well,
I know, it's a long story.
I was born and raised in Winona. I had 5 older sisters and 2 younger brothers. And it was fun growing up, great place to grow up. I came to Owatonna to teach. I had my first teaching position here, and that was 40 years ago. And now this year I've started my 41st year of teaching. And so I settled here. I loved the area. I raised 5 children. I've been involved in a lot of community events, being in music, a lot of charitable things, and then just a lot of organizations in Owatonna. And I like it here, and that's been active, and a lot of people know who I am, but anyway.
Well, we want to know a little bit more about you, but what's interesting to me is that you've been in music, you've been an educator for 40 years, and this is a completely, or is it? It seems like a completely different career change for you. What made you decide that you wanted to try and go into the political arena?
It's always interested me, and I've liked it a lot. I've always been interested in politics. I've helped on other campaigns. And then really what kind of catapulted it was that the DFL endorsed candidate, Craig Brennan from Waseca, dropped out. He was the endorsed candidate and was going to run against John again. And they were looking for somebody, and they had a short amount of time to do it. And there were people who knew that I had always wanted to. And so it really almost turned out to be a good thing that I only had a little time to think, should I, shouldn't I? I called all of my 5 children, and they were go for it. And it just seemed I've always wanted to do it. Here's this opportunity. It would be foolish to pass it up. And so I did say yes, and my hand shook only a little when I filed. But it's been very pleasant. It's been a lot to learn and a lot to talk to people about things that really concern them and are important to them. But having been on stage, you know, being in theater, it isn't so scary to go in front of crowds or have people ask you questions.
Well, and I think that part of that is the asking the questions part. And so, you know, having had an interest, and you have worked on campaigns before, but what the question I have is, what special assets do you bring to this political run? What, if you were to take office, what special assets do you have?
I have a lot of energy and enthusiasm. I tell a story about when I was little. I have a very vivid memory of my mother looking at me across the table and saying, "Oh, Beverly, you wear me out." And I think I did. I know that I did. And so I do have a lot of energy. And you need a lot of it because it's kind of a grueling schedule. But I'm interested. I am knowledgeable. I really would like to go represent District 24A. I haven't been in agreement with all of Representative Petersburg's votes. I have the 40 years of education. I was a Human Rights Commissioner. I was a Steele County Food Shelf board member. I'm been inducted into the Little Theater Hall of Fame. A lot of people are familiar with the Blandon Association, and I went and was a recipient of being at the Blandon workshop for a week on leadership. And so I feel that I am qualified, and I'm most interested. So I really would like to represent the people of 24A.
You talked about a little bit earlier off air. We talked about how you've been meeting with people, and there's a core group of questions that have been asked. So as you have been speaking with people, and I know that's very important at this time for you, what are some of the main issues that people are bringing forward to you for our district?
Because I am a teacher, education has been big at a lot of doors. All day, every day kindergarten is huge, and funding that for the state of Minnesota is a big deal. The amount of money that can be saved by families on daycare who are now sending their children to all day, every day kindergarten, scholarships for poorer families so they can get their children started in early childhood, freezing tuition for 2 years for education, trying to get more money for schools and the funding. These are all important things. I thought that they were good things for our students, for our schools, and John did not vote for those. And I think they're a win-win situation. Transportation, of course. I tell the story about how driving here for my first interview, my friend drove along with me, and we called the Highway 14 the Ho Chi Minh Trail, because this was back in 1974. And it's still 40 years later, it hasn't been completed to 4-lane. And again, there have been some opportunities that John turned down in voting for money for that. And I know it wasn't the amount of money we hoped for. It wasn't the amount of money that's going to put down a lot of road. But again, I would have voted for funds for that. So that's important. And businesses here, agriculture, you know, that's our livelihood. So those are big. Some women's rights too, you know. Women shouldn't have to pay more for insurance. MNsure, those are important things to people. When I've knocked a lot of doors, I've been out knocking since July 12th was the first day that I went out, and I'm out as much as I can. So it's very interesting.
What is the political climate? When you talk to people, are they frustrated with what's going on at the state capitol, or is there an apathy, or are there people passionate? What kind of feeling do you get from people as you do speak with them?
You get all of that. You get all of that. People who don't, you know, for many people it's just such a private thing that they don't want to tell you who they're voting for, who they support. And you respect that and understand that. My mom and dad were like that. They didn't want anybody to know who they were voting for. People who step right out of their door and they sit down on the front step and they say, okay, come and talk to me, and how do you feel about legalizing marijuana? How do you feel about our schools and unions and MNsure and genetically modified seeds, abate, motorcyclists and awareness for education and training had a really interesting forum on Saturday. So there are people who want to talk to you. There are people who don't want to talk to you because of who endorses you, and they say, I already have my candidate, and you say, thank you very much. So it's been most pleasant. You know, out of thousands of doors, I've probably had 6 uncomfortable conversations.
But I was just thinking about that.
That's not bad.
When you first meet people, they always say always avoid politics and religion.
I know.
You have to.
And you have to. And you have to ask those some personal questions. And at first it was difficult to say, will you support me? That's a very humbling thing, to ask for someone's vote. And now that for the first time, we've opened up absentee balloting as no excuse. And so anybody can go and you can vote early. And so if you're worried about the day of the election, I'm not going to get there. What if the weather's bad? My mother's elderly. What if it's icy? People can call right now to your county auditor and they can have a ballot sent to them. They can go online and go ahead and vote. And it was most humbling last week when someone said, I want you to know that I voted absentee for the first time and I voted for you. And it's just, that's a very, very humbling thing to ask people because it's a big deal.
You know, our viewers are passionate about their city, about
Yes.
their area. So if you were to tell them one thing, if you were to speak to our viewers directly and tell them one thing, why they should consider voting for you, what would that be?
I think 2 things. I think I have lived here for 40 years, so this is my town too. And we hold a lot of commonalities in the things that we think are important and family values. I will listen. I am not an expert at a lot of things, and I need to come back and talk to the people here who are experts, to the farmers, to the business people, to daycare providers, to all of the things that are out there that we're going to talk about. Mental health, I think, is going to be a big deal. And to say, I need to come to you and ask you, what are your thoughts? How is this best going to serve our district? We have to look at it in terms of right now, 5 years from now, and 25 years from now. Is this going to be good legislation? And I need the help of the people in the district.
Good. They can find you online if they want more
They can find
questions?
me online,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
All of a sudden, my brain
to the
is
DFL.
like,
Yeah, go to the DFL
Bev
page.
Cashman for representative. I have a website.
Cashman for Representative.
Cashman for
If you have
Representative.
questions, ask them. That's the
Yes.
best way. Thank you so much for your time
Yes,
today.
thank you
It's a
so much.
pleasure.
It's always good to talk
good
to you.
You too.
Thanks.
We'll be right back. Please stay with us.
Hi, I'm Glenn Mager.
And I'm Tim Thomas of the Brick Mager Funeral Home, and we're proud to serve the Medford and Owatonna areas with cremation and traditional funeral services.
And we're proud to be a part of the Owatonna Today Show.
Hi, this is Barry Gillespie, president of ERA Gillespie Real Estate, where our pledge is to save you money, save you time, and simplify your life. And we're proud supporters of the Owatonna Today Show.
Carbon monoxide is a colorless, odorless gas produced by gas-fired appliances in your home. The state of Minnesota requires that you have a carbon monoxide alarm within 10 feet of sleeping areas in your home. We suggest you have a digital readout carbon monoxide alarm. That way we were able to check and see what the concentration amount was when the alarm went off. This has been a public safety tip from the Owatonna Fire Department.
The Owatonna Foundation's mission is to support community progress, and the foundation has been doing just that since 1958 in the Owatonna community.
By issuing over $11 million in grants, the Owatonna Foundation has helped organizations fulfill their goals in the areas of community, recreation, the arts, and education. Please consider a tax-deductible donation, a memorial, or possibly including the foundation in your estate planning so that together we can continue to make a positive, lasting impact in our community. Preserving the past, building the present, funding the future, that is what your Owatonna Foundation is all about.
And we're back with the Owatonna Today Show. Right now we have with us our representative to the Minnesota Legislature, John Petersburg for District 24A. Good day to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Really appreciate you coming in today. You know, we've been catching up throughout the years, like finding out how your first year has been going, your freshman year. But it seems like just yesterday you were campaigning. Does that feel the same way to you?
Yes, it's hard to believe that 2 years has gone by, and it was actually about 2.5 years ago when I started running. So it's quite a whirlwind of activity.
Well, so we've had a chance in the past to talk a little bit about your time, and I know we'll cover that again today. But again, for those viewers who may not have seen you or been able to talk to you, and we're looking at this political day today, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I've been a lifelong member in this area. Matter of fact, currently I'm the church administrator at Trinity Lutheran Church here in Owatonna, and I've been not only the church administrator for 17 years now, but I'm also been a lifelong member of that church as well. However, I've never lived in Owatonna or Steele County, which kind of makes that unique. So I've lived at Claremont, and now I'm living in Waseca, and that makes it a very good district for me because I represent Owatonna and Waseca. So that's a great opportunity. I did farm when I was over at Claremont, family farm. Still own my farm there, and I appreciate that as well. But my experiences have really given me a lot to bring to the Capitol, so I appreciate that.
Your family?
Family, I have a blended family. So my current wife and I, between the two of us, have 8 kids.
Because why not?
and 8 grandchildren. So we don't get to see them nearly as much as we would like, but they are fun when we get to do that. So
good. Well, you have been in this position for 2 years, and and you've decided to run again. Talk to me about that process of why you've decided. Was it an easy decision? Was it difficult? What made you decide that? Yep, let's do this again.
Well, it's an easy decision to make because 2 years go by very fast, and the work that gets done never seems to get done. And so the committees that I've been involved with, I feel like I'm just starting now to really understand the processes that can really make the difference. You really do. It's kind of like drinking out of a fire hose. You really learn a lot during that first session, and that first session sets the whole biennium budget and the dollars that are used for the next 2 years. And so now the second year you get to go and make just a few minor modifications, but that first year is one really makes the biggest difference, where you spend most of the time in committee work, and that's where you really make the biggest impact in laws. So I'm interested in going back and finishing some of the work that I've been trying to get done, and I hope that we can continue on improving the climate here in the state.
I think when we asked you this question last time, you maybe really didn't understand exactly, but having been in the legislature now, I can ask this: what strengths do you think because you've been there, so what strengths do you bring to this process?
Well, I think one of them is because of seniority and because of experience, I don't have to go through a steep learning curve, and so therefore I can start right in with preparing bills and starting the process of getting some of the things going that we needed to. I didn't even know when I first started how to submit a bill and the process that it takes. I also have so much more experience and knowledge about the chairs of the committees and those that are going to be involved with it. They're more likely to listen and hear one of my bills now after a second term than during the first term. So you do become more effective the longer you are there, and you understand the process a little bit better as well.
Personally, though, what's now that you've been through this process, what have you found in yourself that has helped you do what you wanted to do up in St. Paul?
Perseverance, I think, is the one thing. It is very time consuming. I also maintain my job here at Trinity Lutheran Church, so I come back Friday, sometimes Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, trying to catch up with what my assistant and the person that's filling in for me doesn't get done, and then keep switching from your hats from one to the other is very difficult, and even now that we're campaigning, the same thing is true. Just trying to really spread your time around. So I think my ability to be able to juggle all those things has been very helpful. I think my understanding of just the political process through my years of experience at church politics has been very helpful as well.
Good. So you had a chance again to be back down here talking to your constituents. What are some of the issues that they keep bringing up to you about this time around?
Well, in the last few weeks, right now it's been MNsure. It's been the healthcare premiums, and I'm starting to get quite a few comments from individuals and companies that are saying our insurance premiums are doubling. They're not saying they're going up 50% or 20%, but one right now talked to me just this past weekend. They're going to double, and they have less than 20 employees, and that's going to mean I think he said $80,000 additional cost, and they're trying to figure out how to do that. There are very little options for them. They can choose not to provide insurance and pay the penalty, but then the employees are out. They could give dollars to the employees and find their own, but that's not a very good option either, because that really means a loss of revenue, a loss of actual income to the employees. So it's very difficult. The old system had a cap on insurance premiums of only 15%. Insurance companies couldn't raise more than 15%. The new current law that we're working underneath there pull that cap out completely, altogether. And so it makes it very difficult. And here in southern Minnesota, there were only 2 companies that offered insurance. I'm hearing a third company may be coming in, partnering with Mayo Clinic. And that may be helpful, but it's just much more expensive here than it is in Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Any other issues that you people are bringing up?
Well, we get some comments about federal issues, and I try to remind them that I'm not a part of the federal issue. I am really the state. But people really, when they hear representative, they oftentimes think of federal because that's what happens to be in the news a lot. So that's there. I've been hearing a little bit about minimum wage. I've been hearing about school issues and some of the costs for schools, and the concern about gaps in equality as well. So there are kind of a broad range of items. It seems like, and it may be me, but it seems like this particular campaign season is very, I wouldn't say lackluster, but just not as much enthusiasm and excitement as it was 2 years ago when it was the presidential election.
Yeah.
And I imagine that's kind of normal for an off-year election like this, although I thought maybe the governor's race might bring that into more of a transition.
Interesting. So I would like you to, anything else that you wanted to bring up today?
No, that's fine.
Good. Well, I want you to tell me, again, one of the opportunities that you have to speak straight to our viewers today and solicit their vote. What would you have to say? What's the convincing thing that you'd like to share with them?
What I would share with them is that I believe that the state government has 3 main responsibilities, and that is education for our children, which is very important. It is the basis that we have really to grow individual strengths and their effectiveness. I think the other two items are infrastructure in regards to certainly roads and bridges, and that's one of my key priorities, is getting Highway 14 finished. And I think we need to work really hard at finding ways to have a sustainable funding system for our roads, and because there's quite a big gap there that we need to do. And the third item is public safety, which includes not only police and fire, but also health and welfare and so forth. And one of the things that I really think is beneficial is if we as a legislature try to do whatever we can to empower people to be more self-reliant rather than creating dependence upon government. Because the government can only do what it thinks is right, and it always gives the same option to everybody. And we're all individuals. We all need that ability to be able to deal with things ourselves, to be accountable for what we do, and allow us to grow. Because as we grow individually, as a country and as a state, we actually grow better than when we try to make everybody the same. So for me, I want the opportunity to go back there and finish what I've been doing and working on it, and I believe that I represent the community very well. So that's what I try to do.
Can you give us a quick example? We just have a minute left, but can you give us a quick example of how you have tried to do that, how you've tried to make the state more self-sufficient for those people who are part of it?
Well, one of the things that I've been working at is I have done quite a few things without legislation. In other words, I spent some time working with the business community, certainly through Farm America, but also one that most people don't realize is that the gas line companies have a farm tap where farmers were able to tap into gasoline pipes, or not gasoline, natural gas pipes. And we've been working with them without legislation to try to get a way of monitoring that, as well as developing where those locations are for excavators.
Okay, good. Sorry, we're out of time. But people, if you'd like to talk more, of course, you can find them. There'll be events as well as on your website that you have. What is that?
The website is johnpetersburg.com.
Okay, good. Thank you so much for your time. We'll be right back. Please, stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Amy Martinez.
And I'm Adam Martinez, owners of Snap Fitness in Owatonna.
Snap Fitness is a fast, convenient, and affordable fitness center, and we're proud supporters of the Owatonna Today Show.
Everyone deserves opportunities to have a good life, a quality education that leads to a stable job, enough income to support a family through retirement, and good health. But the reality is, many children fall behind, many families are struggling, and many others are in poor health. United Way's goal is to find long-term solutions. Thanks to a grant from the Otto Bremer Foundation, we're hosting community conversations this year to address these issues. If you'd like to join us, please call our office.
Hello, I'm Sean McNulty. And I'm Deb Gillard with Brookdale Senior Living, Sterling House, and Clarebridge of Owatonna. And we are a proud sponsor of the Owatonna Today Show.
And it's time for a look at some community service announcements. In an effort to improve local literacy rates and inspire children to read, Southern Minnesota Initiative Foundation teamed with Scholastic Book Fairs and Roosevelt Community School to build a reading oasis room. SMIF staff members and the Owatonna Kiwanis Club, Roosevelt Community School's early childhood staff, and community volunteers painted walls, decorated the room, and put together new furniture to create an ideal reading environment. SMIF worked with Scholastic Book Fairs to fill the shelves with 1,200 books in the reading room. The Oasis Room will be a community gathering place. Teachers from Roosevelt Community School's early childhood programs will facilitate discussions to help feed students' curiosity and grow their interest in reading. And this is, of course, the reading room is at the Roosevelt Community School. It's the Owatonna Parks and Recreation Buck-a-Hole and Patio with Fire Pit. Head on over to the Brooktree for golf or food or both. This is at the Brooktree Golf Club, and you can get a tea time, and this is a great event. Call 444-2467 for more information. The Steele County Historical Society will host an educational meeting for their volunteers, members, and guests on Tuesday, October 14th from 1:30 to 6 in the Lang Theater of the History Center. In continuation of the series about the village of yesteryear, this month's presentation will be presented by Jerry Ganfield, and volunteer coordinator Dodie Ellingson will feature the general store at the village and also interesting history of other general stores in the country. Thanks so much for joining us here on the Owatonna Today Show. On Wednesday, we're going to have an Owatonna Public Utilities update as well as a United Way update. So we'll see you then. Have a great day.